1999. Food rations are low. Marquez jokes are getting worse and worse. The coffee's bitter. I've been up 4 days straight working on Shakespeare. Help.
Sorry about that. Got a little sidetracked from the task at hand. Now let me tell you about Shakespeare. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, a small market town about 100 miles northwest of London. His birthday is celebrated on April 23, 1564. He also died on that same date in 1616. His parents were John and Mary Arden. John ventured into all sorts of careers, including farming, leatherwork, money lending, and many more. Mary was the daughter of a powerful landowner. John increased his social status immensely when he married Mary. William was the third of 8 Shakespeare children, 3 of whom died in their childhood. No official records have been kept of William's academics, but is likely attended the prestigious local grammar school. William, at the young age of 18, married Anne Hathaway, a woman who was 8 years younger than him. It is believed that the marriage was rushed because of the premature pregnancy of the first of 3 kids. Susanna was born 7 months after their marriage in May of 1583. They had 2 more kids, twins, Hamnet and Judith, who were born in February 1585. Hamnet died at the age of 11, while his other kids lived to be old. William and Anne lived apart for most of the year, while William pursued his writing career in London. They did not spend a considerable amount of time together until Shakespeare moved back to their Stratford home. Shakespeare began his writing career as a poet, but his first plays were written around 1592. Shakespeare's popularity eventually skyrocketed. Shakespeare died at the age of 52 on April 23, 1616. He died of unknown causes, but he is always remembered as the most famous English writer in history. Shakespeare's works are still vastly in use today. Between the mid-1590s and his retirement in 1612, Shakespeare published his most famous works, including Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Macbeth, and The Tempest. Mike?
The Tempest is believed to be written sometime between 1610 and 1611. This play is thought to be the last play that Shakespeare composed by himself. The play was performed at the famous Globe Theatre. This theatre was owned partially by William Shakespeare. The theatre burned down and was rebuilt sometime later. The play takes place on a remote island off the coast of Italy. The should-be Duke of Milan is stranded there with his daughter Miranda. The Duke practices magic and conjures up storms and spells at will. He creates a storm to lure in his no-good brother Antonio and the complacent King Alonso, who rules over Naples. Here he brings about the revelation of his brother, the king's redemption, and Miranda to marry Alonso's son, Ferdinand. There is no clear plot source for this play, however, there is speculation that it is drawn from many happenings throughout the world at the time that it was written. The play is considered a tragicomedy, and dives into both of these aspects that Shakespeare so often wrote about. The play was not popular at its release. In fact, the play did not gain popularity until the Restoration period. The play has been redone a considerable amount of times, and this includes 46 operas and multiple other reenactments. Tyler and I will be performing Act 1, Scene 1. In this scene, the king and his brother Sebastian, Antonio, the Duke of Milan, Ferdinand, the king's son, and Alonso are all on the ship. The ship is going through a horrible storm conjured up by the Tempest, aka Prospero, the would-be Duke of Milan. The crew members are trying to keep the boat from going under. The noble court, however, is below deck, praying for everyone to make it through the storm safely. Antonio, Sebastian, and Alonso stay above deck. They talk with the boat swaying in the masthead, and Antonio and Sebastian curse the crew and are rather nasty. All is lost, the boat splits in half, and everyone drifts their separate ways to the end.
Here, master, what cheer?
Good speak to the mariners, foul to ye, yearly, or we run ourselves around. Bastir, bastir!
Aye, my hearts, cheerly, cheerly, my hearts, yar, yar.
Take to their tops and attend to the master's whistle. Blow till they'll burst thy wind, if we will. Good, boatswain. Have care. Where's the master? I pray now. Keep below.
Where is the master, boatswain?
Do you not hear him? You Marleaders, keep your cabins. You do assist the storm. Nay. Good. Be patient. When the sea is, hence, what cares is yours for the name of the king? To cabin, silence, trouble us not. Good. Yet remember whom thou hast aboard. None that I love more than myself. You are a counselor, and if you could command these elements to silence and work the peace of the present, we will not hand a rope more. Use your authority, and if you cannot, give thanks that you have flown so long, and make yourself ready in your cabin for the mischance of the hour, if it so happen. Cheery, good hearts, out of our way, I say. Great comfort from this fellow. We think he hath no trust mark upon him. His complexion is perfect gals. Stand fast. Good fate to his hanging. Make the rope of his destiny our cable. For our own doth little advantage. If he be not born to be hanged, our case is miserable. Down to topmast yard. Lower, lower. Bring your try with main course. A plague upon this howling? They are louder than the weather or our office. Should we give over and drown? Have you a mind to sink?
You bawling, blasphemous, uncharitable dog.
Work you then!
Hang you, Orson, insolent noisemaker. We are less afraid to be drowned than thou art.
Him for drowning. Though the ship were no stronger than a nutshell, and as leaky as an unstanched wench. A hold. Set her 2 courses off to sea again. Lay her off.
All lost. To prayers, all lost.
Must be cold. King and prince at prayers. Let's assist them, for our case is as theirs.
I am out of patience. We are merely cheated of our lives by drunkards. This wide-chapped rascal. Would thou mightest lie drowning? The washing of 10 tides.
Hanged yet, though every drop of water swear against it, and gape at the widest to go up into.
Mercy on us. We split. Oh dear, my wife and children. Let's all sink with the king. Let's all take leave with him.
Would I give 1,000 furlongs of sea for an acre of barren ground, long heath, brown furs, anything. The will's above be done, but I would fain die a dry death.
The prince is taken in by Prospero, the Tempest. He then uses his minions Ariel, a wizard-like servant, and Caliban, a crude natural inhabitant of the island, to lure in the rest of the noble court.
Miranda then begins to fall in love with the young prince. They want to get married as soon as possible.
Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, and the king continue to look for the prince around the island.
Little did they know, the princess has already fallen in love with Ferdinand.
Another side plot going on. Antonio and Sebastian plan to kill the king and take his crown, seeing as that they are the only 3 on the island together.
However, this was given up on halfway throughout the play.
Caliban and the king's servants have now met up and begin to drink.
The trio then plans to kill Prospero, therefore taking control of the island.
Prospero, sensing this, due to his magical powers, sets dogs on the 3. Ariel leads them into a muck pool with his music. This quickly halts the plan.
Eventually, everyone meets up at Prospero's house. Everyone is surprised to see the once Duke of Milan, Prospero.
Some words are said and greetings exchanged, but eventually all is forgiven between the king, the brother, and Prospero. Ferdinand and Miranda are married.
The whole crew is set to return home in the morning, with the protection of Ariel.
Ariel is also freed from Prospero's servant after he completes his task to protect them on their voyage home.
Basically, everyone lives happily ever after.
Just picking up some garbage.
Gamma?
Well, can't let the garbage sneak up on you.
Suppose. What'd you find?
Oh, it was really weird actually. I found a complete professional analysis of The Tempest by Shakespeare.
Really? That's weird.
Hey, you want to hear what it says?
Yeah.
Well, according to Harold Bloom, the play is one of Shakespeare's finest comedies. The play is meant not to be set out to be a comedy at first, but it ended up that way. The plot is not as in-depth compared to some of other Shakespeare plays, but still manages to give the crowd laughs. The script appears not to be interesting whatsoever, but when it's acted out, it truly comes to life. The comedy is experimental, and the audience struggled to buy it upon its initial release in 1611. But the overall analysis is that the play is not as in-depth, plot-heavy experience, but a laid-back comical experience that makes it difficult for the audience not to enjoy it.
Interesting. I actually found some garbage over there too.
Really? What does yours say?
It's actually a personal analysis. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Alright, here we go. We thought The Tempest was overall very good. Previous Shakespeare works that we have read are very difficult to follow along to. This was not the case when we read The Tempest. It was an easy and fun piece to read. It was also good for its share of laughs being that it is a comedy. We enjoyed reading a comedy from the Shakespearean point of view, because we are used to reading his tragedies where almost everyone ends up dead. The general lighthearted theme The Tempest takes on throughout the play made it much more entertaining to read. On the other hand, we did not like how sometimes it seemed like there was no plot line, but it was refreshing to read a play by Shakespeare that was a happy ending. Overall, The Tempest was by far our favorite play we have had to read.
That's pretty neat.
That's so too.
Oh, see you later.
See ya. I'm Tyler Tillotson.
And I'm Alex Almas.
We'd like to thank you for watching our presentation on The Tempest. It's a less popular play by Shakespeare, but it does not lack any of Shakespeare's great qualities when he writes plays. It was the last play that Shakespeare wrote by himself, but I think we can all agree that it was still one of his best plays.
Throughout the play, there are many themes, and one of the biggest themes that comes up in the play is the theme of confinement versus freedom. And in the play, there's both literally and figurative confinement. Miranda and Prospero are confined to the island literally, while Prospero confines Caliban and Ariel figuratively by enslaving them throughout the entire play. At the end, you can see that both of these things are broken as Miranda and Prospero return to their home, and Caliban is set free on the island to rule however he wants, and Ariel is let go after he accomplishes his task of protecting them on their voyage.
Mountains gray.